Greetings, everybody. We're back around the table again today to continue our look at the Leatherman P4.
This isn't a knife. This isn't a knife at all.
How did this get on the table?
It's got so many other things other than knives. I can't believe we're reviewing this.
Yeah, it was a little bit tricky to quantify it into the categories that we had established because...
I think we did a decent job.
We did it, but I mean, come on.
It was a bit of a brain teaser.
And with some outside conversation about how to rank it, where to rank it, whatever. I think we got the job done, and I think our scores do accurately.
Yep, they're fair.
I think the hardest thing, too, is that some of us don't necessarily carry a multi-tool on a regular basis, and the people that do carry them as a backup tool with a primary knife in their pocket already.
Hey-oh.
Yeah, me too.
This is not the primary cutting instrument.
No.
That being said, this has been much anticipated. I mean, people have been freaking out about this thing for months before it's released, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's been out for a little bit, but...
Yeah. Part of that, I think, also was the fact that Leatherman only had, like, one new thing last year.
Right, yeah.
And it was not innovative.
For 3 years.
Yeah.
Jesus,
so the fact that they came out with something cool and neat, it was... I think that was part of the hype.
Like, it's kind of...
There was 1 year where they released an orange rescue Skeletool as like literally the only thing in their catalog. Like Leatherman went through some hard times there.
You got to think they were probably gearing up for this kind of thing, right? Like getting
working on the technology and hopefully, for sure.
So kind of touched on it a little bit in the earlier episode in the week, but it's the little magnetic closer there that is the cool part because once you do pop it, it is free enough that you can spin and flip around and have fun with it.
And having said that, the detents on these magnets, I'm hoping that they stick around with that kind of strength for a long time because I'm super impressed with just the perfect amount of pressure to be able to release them.
Yeah, and they are little inserts, so they are definitely replaceable in case anything happens to them.
So they are like little rare earth magnets kind of things.
They're actually in a plastic casing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so that leads me to believe that they probably are actual magnets as opposed to like a magnetized piece of steel.
Yeah.
So that's going to last a much longer period of time. Yeah. So that's nice to see. One thing that may not last and only time will tell, and we've kind of all talked about this, but the rubber inserts.
Yeah. So what Joe's kind of talking about there is if you watch really closely as I'm opening and closing it off of the tension bar at the back there, the handle actually shifts inside an oval hole in the plier side, and there's a little black rubber insert in there, and that's what's giving you the tension for that pop.
It's a smart design. But I mean, as anybody who's ever worked with any kind of rubber product, O-rings especially, you'll see them degrade over time, and replacements will be needed at some point.
Yeah.
How long until it's needed for this? If it's actually rubber or silicone, like it's hard to say.
Yeah, and as us living up in Canada and as the winter's coming on here, for the weather aspect and the cold issue, that's my concern.
People really working out of doors.
How tight they get in the winter.
Yeah, I wonder if they would stiffen up.
Yeah.
Everything gets tighter in the winter. Everything. I don't care. All the Canadians can attest to that. Everything just kind of cinches a little bit more.
Yeah. However, not getting into that too much, I'm happy to see open torque screws as opposed to this BS.
Or the safety torques that they do on other stuff.
Or the safety torque. I've never been a fan of safety torque. Keep them on motherboards. I have no use for them on my pocket knives or multi-tools. But it's cool to see that these are at least adjustable. Smart move when it's going to be free-flowing. And
just for the record, I do believe that still voids your warranty. I don't know if this is an exception or not, but tweaking with any sort of Leatherman products...
They don't like you playing with them.
Send it back.
Okay. They do have a 25-year warranty, so I mean, and
they sell. You can buy aftermarket friggin'.
There may be an exception for the cutters.
Yeah, the cutters are a new thing within the last couple of years. But I know that when it comes to
the tool assembly,
swapping out tools, fixing tools, taking apart tools, and whatever,
it's not a terrible idea. I bet you half the people that take these things apart probably can't put them back together.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like Spyderco's. For their folding knives,
I've seen some sweet mods.
Yes.
Where guys that are successful do some pretty cool
stuff.
Like
swapping out tools? Or
different tools, different blade swaps for different things.
I've also seen some very, very silly mods, such as like...
bubble blowers?
No, be able to like close it down and it hooks onto like a Bowie blade.
Oh my god!
So the tool becomes the handle, and you can like sheath it, and then have the blade sheathed and pop the tool off.
Yeah,
seems like a terrible idea.
Yeah, it's pretty silly.
No, that sounds amazing. What are you talking about?
That just seems like somebody else getting stabbed when I'm trying to baton with this knife.
Of course, yes.
Surprisingly, the guy that carries an exorbitant amount of cold steel products is the guy that's on board with this idea. I'm just saying. Like,
may not be my first choice out in the woods, but it'd be cool to have.
The tool itself, though, back on track on the P4s, we're going to talk about this a little bit more. Some pro sides and some con sides. And I think everyone's going to dabble on the price point. Jesus, man, you're paying a lot for these.
Yeah.
MSRP is rated at 180 for these guys. When you compare a lot of the other stuff on the market for similar tools for literally $100 less, is the magnetic snap that valuable to you?
And I think the two conversations go hand in hand.
And not necessarily that valuable to the consumer, but as far as the manufacturing side, it's not only the magnetic closure, but the new tension mechanism and the pivot.
Yeah, for sure.
And I can understand that, but with the price point of the way it is.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a,
by the way,
large step up.
And you've got the same tools that you have in
$80, $180, just for reference.
Yeah.
$180 for tools that are kind of lacking at the end of the day too. Like
3 flat screwdrivers is the main one that we all have a big issue with.
Why?
Yeah, like that one is claimed as an awl, and it is a weird square little chisel tip screwdriver tip for the awl.
It's like the old bit drivers that are supposed to replace those tiny Phillips because of the hard chamfering, but that's too many flathead tools. In one, like, give it something else.
I'm interested to see what they end up doing on this chassis, to see if they do like an upgraded version with better tools options and stuff like that.
Maybe. Hey.
I would hope so.
Not only too many flathead tools, but the one screwdriver tip that's not a flathead is a weird, awkward size that you can't, like, it's made so it's not the interchangeable, and it's the weird size that you can't put their extender onto.
Compare and contrast the thickness between these two and the dimensions. Like this, you can get into a hole that would fit for the screw. That is so wide.
But there's also an adapter that fits onto the square, so you can use a bit driver.
And you could have very much made that an interchangeable, being that this looks like one of the interchangeable Phillips anyway. Make this an interchangeable side, which makes a lot of this obsolete.
Yeah, like if it's an issue if it's an issue of spacing, I would sacrifice that little package opener and have just one interchangeable screwdriver bit on that side.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely would.
The other main issue I have with it is the file itself. Big issue with
this
the file.
little guy here.
Again, we're
great if you need to sharpen a fish hook, and that's
do your nails sort of thing. But
we've also seen multi-tools where they actually take the measuring aspect of it, which is that on that side, and combined it with the file on there. So you get one side of a file, but it is still, again, when it comes to choosing your tools, a useless file anyway, so you might as well combine it and leave space for this.
Has anybody ever used a ruler that short in their entire life?
Tell us in the comments, because I haven't.
There's very rare applications.
As you actually mentioned that's one of the things I was waiting to talk about. They snuck that little groove out of the tool there, and they actually chamfered it, and that is your wire strip cutter or wire stripper.
Not a terrible addition, but it's kind of a cheap way to bump up the tool count, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it was a little sneaky way to slide it in.
Not as cheap as the lanyard hole you could see here. I know they count that, but still.
It almost looked like it was like a tool adapter section or something like that. I was like, what is that?
Can clip onto it or and going with the file and like the useless tools that it is, I would have very much liked to see the sacrifice of the big pair of scissors to the small file.
I disagree.
That's fair. That's fair. I enjoy the big pair of scissors, but that's not why I buy a Leatherman.
generally speaking, I don't have a use for scissors that large on a multi-tool anyway.
I will give you that. I have specifically bought models that had scissors over other options, just because I wanted.
And now with the interchangeable wire bits, nothing's stopping you from taking but nothing's stopping you from taking that off and making that wire bit that much sharper, so it almost can be like a scissor blade type of idea, right? So I don't know. I just think a longer file, especially when I'm the outdoors camping, like sharpen your hatchet, sharpen your machete, sharpen your whatever with a Leatherman file. I'm a big advocate of that, especially if you're using it in an outdoor environment. I'd like to see that swap myself.
So kind of jumping off of a bit of the negatives, I'm going to jump back into some positives and talk about the lockup and actuation, because I think for all of us, that was the highest score.
Yeah.
And for me, part of it was just the actuation of opening up the pliers and how smooth they are, but also the lockup and actuation of all the blades and how easy, accessible, and one-handed you can use them and stuff like that.
They're basically using a variation of a pick lock, and it works very well for getting all the different tools out.
And even the tools, not even the blades themselves with the holes and stuff, but even when it's closed, if you're spiking the ends of the tools.
That is a particularly smart idea.
The easy access to every part on this tool is very cool, very convenient.
I just struggle with my nail trying to pop them all open.
Well, that's a major complaint of mine for the rebar. As much as I love it, this definitely beats it in terms of tool accessibility.
The reason I went to that is because with Leathermans, you usually have to fiddle F around.
Yeah. And another reason why I like the lockup is looking inside the internals and how the tension is. It's going to be one of the sort of systems that if it does ever wear either the lock face or the blade, it's going to keep the tension just because of how the lock's getting pushed in. Like, I don't think you're going to develop rock lock with this one.
It's like a triad the way it wears it.
Kind of,
And it's almost the opposite pressure of what you need to do with a normal Leatherman. Normally you're pressing down, this time you're pulling up type of thing, but I think it is a very smart design with the new locking system.
Yeah, and that's like, especially with Joe's there, that's one of my major gripes about the old style of locks that they did. There's definite rock lock with that guy, and I don't think you'll get into that issue with the Free series.
Just very briefly before we jump topic, the fact that you can access all the tools aside from the pliers from the outside. Previously, there was only one other Leatherman tool that was like that, or two others.
Kind of,
We kind of mentioned
just from the outside?
Just like a minute and a half ago, but that's okay. We can look at the track later.
Fair enough.
You got something to mention, Paul?
There's just one thing that I want to talk about very quickly, and that's that.
Okay,
that blade tip.
Can we combine that with also the plane edge being hollow ground? And just talk about knife edges in general on this blade. But for sure, the serrated thing is kind of crazy.
The serrated Tanto.
It looks like it was made
chisel grind.
Yeah.
It looks like a Cold Steel Fever dream. Like
I am going to tactically attack whatever croissant is in my way.
I would buy that in a spike.
No doubt.
I would.
You gave that triple vest that feels good.
I wouldn't even worry about it because it's better steel than what the spike comes with, so don't worry about it. Which isn't something you can often say about a Leatherman. But
yeah, it's absolutely weird. I've never seen them do that before, but I think it's cool as hell.
The only positive that I can find of that Tanto tip, the chisel ground, is that you can scrape stickers off glass really easy with it.
Okay, I've got another one with drywall.
Yeah, that's right.
Construction aspect, and even just like stabbing through it with the Tanto, nice strong tip, and then sawing down and stuff.
I can see that.
Construction-y aspect. God help the swivel motion on drywall dust,
but you'll get one cut out of it before it goes dull on it.
And having said that, with one cut, once you get the cut started, probably one of the best ground Leatherman blades that I've seen to date.
Still definitely thick up at the spine, but they did a good job with a hollow grind there, so it's not too thick behind the edge.
And this isn't the first time they've done a hollow grind, but it's one of the first times that we've seen that they've done it so well. It does really thin out.
It'll beat every blade on a Leatherman, including the knife blades, I do believe. I think this is going to be the best cutting instrument you've seen from Leatherman so far. So props for them for getting an actual proper grind on a Leatherman instead of a Skeletool, which is a goddamn wedge.
Yeah.
Like,
Did we touch on ergonomics before we ran out of time?
No, but we're running out of time, so they got a lot of quick.
Okay, ergonomics are good. They're smooth. They're good.
Everything's chamfered beautifully. They paid attention, and that's why the cost is the way it is. And I think that's why none of us scored the cost low on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
The nice thing about having all the tools on the outside is that when you have it open, there's no tools
on the inside.
It's hard to find a hot spot.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So good point, but I think that goes hand in hand with what the price and why we didn't dock it so harsh. So.
Yeah. Any other closing points?
That's it.
No. Cool. Final shout out. Big thanks to the Cutting Edge again here for letting us review this guy and bringing you people some entertainment. And that being said, this is Nigel the Smith signing off.
I am who I am. I'm Dennis Vipers.
I am the Iron Joe.
And I'm XL.ca.
We will catch you again next week.